The rain hammered against the windows of my small apartment in Seattle, mirroring the storm raging inside me. Theron, a 44-year-old architect, had always prided myself on my ability to design spaces that were both functional and beautiful, places where people could build their lives. But my own life, the one I had carefully constructed with my wife, Isolde, was crumbling around me, revealing a foundation built on lies. Isolde and I had been together for 15 years, married for 10. We met at a gallery opening. I was immediately drawn to her fiery red hair and her even fierier intelligence. She was a journalist, sharp and inquisitive, always seeking the truth. Or so I thought. We built a comfortable life together, filled with weekend hikes, cozy nights in, and the shared dreams of a future filled with travel and laughter. We were, as far as I could tell, happy. The first crack in the facade appeared subtly, almost imperceptibly. Isolde started working later, claiming deadlines and demanding editors. I understood. Her job was demanding and I always tried to be supportive. But then came the business trips, the out-of-town conferences that seemed to multiply with each passing month. I missed her, of course, but I trusted her implicitly. Trust, I would soon learn, was a luxury I could no longer afford. The suspicion began as a nagging unease, a persistent itch I couldn't scratch. It wasn't any one thing, but a collection of small inconsistencies. A stray lipstick in her car that wasn't hers, a lingering perfume on her clothes that I didn't recognize, the way she flinched when I touched her unexpectedly. I tried to dismiss it as paranoia, the product of an overactive imagination. But the feeling wouldn't go away. One evening, while Isolde was supposedly at a conference in Denver, I decided to surprise her with a delivery of her favorite flowers. I called the hotel where she was staying, only to be told that no one under her name was registered. My heart lurched. A cold dread washed over me, a feeling so profound it threatened to suffocate me. I hung up my hand trembling and stared blankly at the rain-streaked window. I needed to know the truth. I couldn't live with the uncertainty, the gnawing suspicion that was slowly consuming me. I hired a private investigator, a discreet and professional woman named Scene. I handed over Isolde's schedule, her social media accounts, everything I could think of that might shed light on her activities. Scene promised to be thorough, to uncover the truth, no matter how painful it might be. The next few days were agonizing. I went through the motions of my life, designing buildings, attending meetings, trying to maintain a semblance of normalcy. But inside I was a mess, a jumble of fear, anger, and disbelief. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, and I couldn't shake the image of Isolde with another man. Finally, Scene called. Her voice was calm and professional, but I could hear the undercurrent of gravity in her tone. "Mr. Theron," she said, "I have the information you requested. It's not good. We met at a small cafe near my office." Scene laid out the evidence, photographs, hotel receipts, credit card statements. It was all there in black and white, a damning indictment of Isolde's betrayal. She wasn't at conferences or business trips. She was with another man, a man named Ulric, a colleague from her newspaper. They had been having an affair for over a year. I stared at the photographs, my stomach churning. There was Isolde, laughing, holding hands with Ulric, kissing him with a passion that she hadn't shown me in years. It was like watching a movie of someone else's life, a life that I had no part in. The pain was so intense it felt physical, like a knife twisting in my gut. "Sorry, Mr. Theron," Scene said softly. "I know this is difficult." I barely heard her. I was numb in shock. How could she do this to me? How could she betray our marriage, our life together, so callously? I had given her everything, loved her unconditionally. And this was how she repaid me. I thanked Scene for her work and paid her fee. I walked out of the cafe, the rain still falling, the city lights blurring through my tears. I felt like I was walking through a dream, a nightmare from which I couldn't wake up. I went home to the apartment that we had shared, the place that was now tainted by her lies. I sat in the living room, staring at the photographs, trying to make sense of it all. I felt a rage building inside me, a burning anger that threatened to consume me. I wanted to scream, to break things, to lash out at someone, anyone, but I didn't. I knew that anger wouldn't solve anything. It wouldn't undo what Isolde had done. It wouldn't erase the pain. I needed to think, to plan, to figure out what to do next. I decided to confront her. I waited for her to come home, knowing that she would eventually have to face me. When she finally walked through the door, she looked tired but otherwise normal. She smiled at me, a smile that now seemed so fake, so insincere. "Hi, honey," she said. "How was your day?" I held up the photographs, her face drained of color. "What is this?" she stammered. "Don't play dumb, Isolde," I said, my voice cold and hard. "I know everything. I know about Ulric. I know about the affair." She started to cry, tears streaming down her face. "Theron, I can explain," she said. "Explain what?" I demanded. "Explain how you could betray me like this. Explain how you could lie to me for so long." She launched into a torrent of excuses, justifications, and apologies. She said she was unhappy, that she felt neglected, that Ulric understood her in a way that I didn't. It was all the same tired clichés, the same pathetic rationalizations that cheaters always use. I didn't buy it. I saw through her lies, her manipulations. She was trying to make me feel guilty, to make me believe that I was somehow responsible for her actions, but I wasn't. She made her own choices and she had to live with the consequences. "I want you out," I said, my voice flat. "I want a divorce. I never want to see you again." She begged me to reconsider, to give her another chance. She promised to end the affair, to do whatever it took to win me back. But I was done. The trust was broken, the love was gone. There was nothing left to salvage. Isolde moved out the next day. The apartment felt empty without her, but it also felt clean, purged of her deceit. I started the process of filing for divorce, determined to move on with my life. But the pain lingered. I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal, the sense that I had been a fool, a dupe. I replayed our marriage in my mind, searching for clues that I had missed, signs that I had ignored. I wondered if I would ever be able to trust anyone again. As I was going through Isolde's things, packing them up for her to collect, I found a small velvet box hidden in the back of her closet. I opened it, my heart pounding. Inside was a diamond ring, not the simple band I had given her when we got married, but a large, glittering stone. It was expensive, extravagant. I knew immediately who it was from: Ulric. The ring was a symbol of their affair, a constant reminder of her betrayal. I felt a fresh wave of anger wash over me. I wanted to destroy the ring, to throw it in the trash, but I stopped myself. I had a better idea. I decided to investigate Ulric. I wanted to know who he was, what he did, and why Isolde was so drawn to him. I used my contacts, my resources, to dig into his life. What I found shocked me. Ulric wasn't just a journalist. He was a fraud, a con artist. He had a history of manipulating women, of using them for their money and connections. He was charming and persuasive, but beneath the surface, he was a ruthless predator. I discovered that Ulric had been embezzling money from the newspaper where he and Isolde worked. He was using the stolen funds to finance his lavish lifestyle, to buy expensive gifts for Isolde, like the diamond ring. I also learned that he was married to a woman named Imogen, who was completely unaware of his affair with Isolde. I knew what I had to do. I couldn't let Ulric get away with his crimes. I couldn't let him continue to hurt innocent people. I decided to expose him. I gathered all the evidence I had: the photographs, the hotel receipts, the financial records. I contacted the newspaper's editor and laid out the case against Ulric. The editor was shocked and appalled. He promised to launch a full investigation. The truth came out quickly. Ulric was exposed as a fraud and a cheat. He was fired from the newspaper and faced criminal charges for embezzlement. His wife, Imogen, divorced him immediately. His life was in ruins. Isolde was devastated. She had been blinded by Ulric's charm, seduced by his lies. She had believed that he loved her, that he was going to leave his wife for her. Now, she realized that she had been nothing more than a pawn in his game. I watched as Isolde's life crumbled around her. She lost her job, her friends, and her reputation. She was ostracized by the community, branded as a home wrecker. I felt a pang of sympathy for her, but I didn't regret what I had done. She had made her choices, and she had to live with the consequences. I used the diamond ring that Ulric had given Isolde as evidence in the case against him. It was a fitting end for a symbol of deceit and betrayal. In the end, I got my revenge. I exposed Ulric for who he was, and I watched as Isolde's life fell apart. But revenge didn't bring me the satisfaction I thought it would. It didn't erase the pain or heal the wounds. It just left me feeling empty. I realized that the only way to truly move on was to forgive, Not Isolde or Ulric, but myself. I had to forgive myself for trusting them, for believing in them, for allowing myself to be hurt. I had to accept that the past was the past, and that I couldn't change it. It took time, but I eventually started to heal. I focused on my work, on my friends, on my own well-being. I started dating again, cautiously, tentatively. I learned to trust again, to love again. One day I received a letter from Isolde. She apologized for everything she had done, for the pain she had caused me. She said she was sorry for betraying me, for lying to me, for destroying our marriage. She didn't ask for forgiveness, but she hoped that one day I would be able to understand. I didn't write back. I didn't need to. I had already moved on. I had learned from my mistakes, and I was determined to build a better future for myself. The rain still falls in Seattle, but it doesn't bother me anymore. I have a new apartment, a new life, and a new perspective. I am no longer defined by Isolde's betrayal. I am defined by my resilience, my strength, and my ability to love again. And that, I realized, is the greatest revenge of all.